We go on to chapter 2, 3. This is a big one, okay? Recruitment and retention of students is everyone's responsibility. And as a couple of the pastors were reviewing the first preliminary drafts of the marketing toolkit, they almost felt like, are we creating a new job when it comes to the roles and responsibilities that people have as it relates to marketing, okay? That's a big conversation, okay? It's an elephant in the room, and it's going to be a conversation that has to be had from the standpoint marketing and advancement are bottom line oriented functions, okay? They drive your bottom line. Theoretically, a person in those positions should be paying for themselves in terms of the way that they're supporting retention, recruitment, your annual fund, your special events, any type of sales program that you have, alumni relations, etc. There is a job description included in the marketing toolkit that is an entry-level, coordinator-level job that has been added because as a former CEO of a small nonprofit, which is one of the hats I also wore, when you don't have the proper staffing alignment to ensure tasks get completed, they're not going to get completed. Okay? So we're going to spend some time around the subject of, as you're creating your marketing plans and you're assigning duties to particular people, we don't want to see those duties rolling back to the principal. Okay? If that can be avoided, we want to avoid that. Okay? So we're going to talk about that some more. It's a big issue. It's a really big issue. So back to marketing and recruitment of students is everyone's responsibility. Everyone who touches a student or family has a role in marketing. Public relations is our biggest asset when it comes to marketing. What is public relations? It is how you interact with your public. Your primary audience are those children who are coming in and out of your building every single day, being escorted by a parent or a caregiver. It is very important that faculty, front office staff, everyone across the board understand their relationship with the student and how the student needs to be happy there. Okay? Needs to feel embraced there, needs to feel nurtured there, as well as the family. Now, as instructors, we also have the line that we draw because we're still having an objective criteria that we have to evaluate your performance on, okay? But we want to make sure that as we're rolling out marketing initiatives, that we're not being counterproductive to our own efforts because we're doing a great job marketing, but everyone in our building is unfriendly. People are not returning phone calls. Email messages are unprofessional and not timely. So there's a whole series of types of trainings that can go on to ensure that your staff understands the importance of being church. You know, and it's perfect for us because we are church. We're here to be helpful, to be courteous, to be friendly, and we want to make sure that's coming through. So in the marketing toolkit, it gives you a brief summary of the basic role that the pastor plays, our principals as the face of the school and the community, each faculty member, the administrative support staff, and our parents. Our parents are huge in public relations. One bad experience of a parent in school, in the shopping line, on a weekend, with 6 other parents, or on the soccer field, on the sideline, and it can catch like fire. So just manage those issues, especially faculty members, because they are ambassadors of the school when they're in the community. Whether they think of themselves or not in that light, they're representing the school. We're going to move on to chapter 4, which is your marketing plan. This chapter is dedicated to helping you see the cycle of marketing, how right now we should all be working on and creating our marketing plan and budgets that would roll out July 1st for fiscal year 2013. Okay? We should be in the middle of the marketing plan that we created last year in January and in the middle of creating the plan that we'll be using next year. So this chapter helps you just see the alignment of the calendar and how that planning process should work. Marketing entails doing something every day, every week, every month, and every year. But the beauty about it, as you're getting your processes underway, once you start to get into the cycle of doing things, it comes quite routine because it's an annual calendar that aligns with the liturgical calendar and the school calendar. The marketing action plan is an excerpt from page 25 of the marketing toolkit, and it's going to talk with you and help you reiterate the points related to creating your action plan for marketing. It always starts with having a goal, having a documented goal. Going forward from there, you're going to be looking to develop your calendar so that you know what specific tasks are going to help you achieve a certain goal. You know, some schools might notice that their enrollment remains stable all the time, and their focus is always 6th grade enrollment because you see a dip, and then pre-K or K entry enrollment. What would you be doing strategically if those are the two audiences that year over year you see are your areas of opportunity? The next point, we're going to establish benchmarks for goal achievement. So let's say that you have a recruitment goal of 15% of your student body and a retention goal of 85. What benchmark dates will you establish for yourself to know that you're on track to achieving the goals that you've set for your new year? Monitoring your progress along the way. Mid-course refinement, Lila Hofmeister's statement in this book. If you see along the way that something's not working, don't wait until the end of the cycle to change it. Stop, retool, factor in any indications and data that can support helping you understand why you're not on target by refining as needed, calculating your results, and most importantly, celebrating your success and including the people who are integral to the work in that process. The annual review. After you've put together your marketing plan, implemented your marketing plan, calculated results, how will you know that you have been successful? One of the ways is through assessments, okay? By monitoring those target goals that you set out to achieve, and how did you perform toward achievement of those goals? In enrollment management, you can almost be strictly objective in grading yourself. If you said that you wanted to gain 33 new students this year and you gained 33, you achieved your goal, 100%, you got an A+. What happens if you got 26 new students, okay? How do you grade your performance if you got 26 new students, but the goal was the 33? If you were to look at it from an educator's perspective and you calculated the percentage, you might find that your grade isn't as good as you thought it was. But when you look at the mechanics of your program and how you implemented, you'll probably see that you did a lot of things right, okay? So strictly looking and using strictly objective criteria to rate yourselves isn't fair to everyone in the marketing program and in the marketing process. So we want to help you by providing some subjective ways to assess your performance. The first of which is an internal assessment. Each year, schools are going to be asked to review how they are approaching their marketing and rate themselves on a 100-point scale to determine through that criteria how your school performed. And there's an example survey tool that's included in the marketing toolkit. We're going to juxtapose that result against the results that schools achieve through the Mystery Parent Program, which is the external assessment. Beginning next year in January, beginning January 1 and going through February 15th, we're going to have mystery parents in the Archdiocese going to schools, approaching your school like they are a parent interested in enrolling their student in your school, and they're going to evaluate your school, okay? 15 schools are going to be evaluated this way each year. And that information is going to be shared with the school leader. It's not for public consumption, but it'll help you take a look at how you graded yourself against the experience of a parent that was there one day at one particular time and had an experience with your school. We're not going to start that this year in January because that would not be fair notice. We will start it next year in January and then provide those results. Anecdotal results we will probably share, without going into the specifics of which school and why. But if we start to see trends of, wow, this school thought that they were really doing a great job, and look, the mystery parent agreed, Vice versa, what if they were thinking they were doing a good job, but through the mystery parent experience, they're learning, wow, you know, we weren't smiling in our voices when we were talking like I thought we were, okay? So both examples of the surveys are in the marketing toolkit in Chapter 5 so that you can get a sense of the internal assessment tool and the external assessment tool. As we are really considerate of the kind of tasks that are going on in our school administrators' offices, we want to make sure that these types of surveys are incorporated to other kinds of activities that you're already doing. We don't want to create new tasks for you to the extent that we don't have to. So I'll be working with my other colleagues, and as you're doing other kinds of assessments for other reasons, we're going to see how the evaluation of marketing can be incorporated into those types of survey tools. The next slide goes into the tabs. The marketing toolkit includes 5 tabbed sections, and when we first started the creative process for the marketing toolkit, at first it was really going to just be the tabs. It was going to be sample materials, recommended marketing strategies, a timeline that you might use, sample resources, and so forth. But through the input of the Elementary School Marketing Task Force, we decided, no, there needed to be introductory context as it relates to enrollment management, why it is important, the branding element, and how the work gets done. So those chapters are introducing really what many might consider the marketing toolkit, which is the contents that are contained in the tabs. You have a sample marketing plan, which is really a baseline marketing plan. It's aligned with the school calendar and the liturgical calendar. It might be replicated if you wanted to. You have additional marketing tactics. Many schools might find that they are already doing 100% of the recommendations that are on the sample marketing plan. So you might be ready to add a bell or a whistle or modify the plan in a particular way. The benefits of Catholic education, which those are some, not all. Enrollment management team roles and responsibilities. Last year at about this time, all of our school leaders received a presentation from the Diocese of Arlington on enrollment management, and it was a pretty thick booklet along with a CD-ROM type of tool that could be used to help you with your targets for enrollment management and marketing. This is an excerpt from that piece so that you can see how the distinct roles play an important purpose in the outcomes. The marketing coordinator job description that I mentioned earlier, 10 tools to make your school stand out. That's in tab 3, I believe, and really is a great, just at a glance, do you have those 10 things in place at your school? If you don't, you should. If you need help, call me. And there are sample documents, and the final chapter is recommended reading and resources, okay? So there's a lot more reading and information on these subjects as you find yourself possibly wanting to get more immersed in this subject of service, of education, of consumer choice, and school marketing and branding. Now, where I thought I was a minute ago is strategic support to schools. Each calendar year, we're going to identify, now we've already talked about that baseline of marketing support that we're going to be providing to all schools as needed. But each year, 9 schools are going to be identified for a variety of reasons as schools that we're just going to be a little bit more helpful with, okay? For those schools, they are going to be determined at about this time of the year, and there might be selected because of their recruitment and retention trends or some other issue. There's a coding system, which is, this is red, yellow, and green is kind of, they use it on stoplights, so it doesn't require much explanation, but there's also a red, yellow, green coding system in other ways. This is about just marketing, so if you've seen red, yellow, green coding in something else, it's not applicable. Red, yellow, and green for purposes of marketing are really how we're looking at schools in terms of their enrollment and where they are in the context of how they could be performing, okay? Red schools, they're schools that are in trouble for a variety of reasons. They could be in a position of, they could have a stable budget, but they could have seen enrollment drop off significantly. That could make a school a red school, just like they could just be across the board struggling and having great financial issues. The yellow are the threshold schools. Okay, they're the schools that are right there on the threshold. You know, we're doing or holding our own, we're doing our thing, but you know, if they had a decrease of 10% in their enrollment, they could really be in trouble. And they could also be a school that are just noticeably underperforming. Okay, noticeably underperforming. And the green are schools that are really just moving forward on all cylinders. So what does it mean if your school is selected for strategic support? Okay, what that means is I'm just going to be more involved with how you're working on marketing and wanting to be more a resource to your school, as opposed to a school who isn't receiving strategic support. They're ambling along and doing their thing. A school that is selected for strategic support, provided you want the help, I would be very open to participating in your strategic sessions, going to meetings, participating in analysis or staff development training with your staff, SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats, etc. The geographic distribution for the coming year, and it actually has been slightly modified because it's interesting because some schools have already seen that they're on the list, okay? And some schools have seen that they're on their list and they're like, wow, why am I on the list? And some schools have seen the list and they're not on the list and they want to know, why am I not on the list? If you're on the list, it's just a level of service. It's not making any statement except I think that we might, or Deacon Bert thought that we might be able to be helpful to you. If you're on the list, we're just looking forward to helping you. If you're not on the list and wanted to be on the list, talk to me and we can see what we can do. Any of the services that I'm going to describe that we're going to be working on with the strategically selected schools can be offered to any school. It just becomes a matter of how much time can I be at the different places to really fully engage with what you're doing. So for the strategic support, I'm going to attend your meetings to the extent that you would want me to, facilitate anything that you might want. Assist with the development of your annual marketing plan and budget, be an advocate for you. I met with one of the schools during this breakout session where they really need an advocate because they're working with a zero marketing budget right now. You know, there's nothing like an unfunded mandate. So if I can be an advocate to help in any way, evaluate and support the creation of your marketing materials, which that's something that's going to be available to everyone, templates of verbiage that can be used for marketing material so that you don't feel like you're reinventing the wheel. Advice on public relations opportunities. I heard about the great public relations opportunity JR with Channel 7 coming out on the Friday of Catholic Schools Week to cover the great program that you've got going, which is terrific. Advice on fundraising and advancement initiatives, monitoring progress based on established benchmarks. So the schools that are selected for strategic support are selected in recognition of principals are very, very busy people. And if I can be a support system that helps the implementation process, the creation and then the implementation process, that's what we want to see happen. Which schools are we going to be working with in 2012? In the district, we're going to be working with St. Augustine and St. Anne's. In Prince George's, St. Ambrose, St. Matthias, Mount Calvary, and St. Mary in Landover Hills, St. Michael the Archangel in Montgomery County, and in Southern Maryland, Little Flower, St. Michael, and Mother Catherine Spalding. So the schools that are listed here, you'll be hearing from me, unless you want to hear from me sooner, before February 1st. And our goal, we can work on anything that you want to work on. So if there are things that are immediate, we can work on things that are immediate. From a practical standpoint, the objective is really, we're thinking a little bit further down the road and thinking about school year 12-13. So let's talk about a few takeaways before we go into the questions and answers that I'm hoping that as you now get to leave in the next 15 minutes or so and you're using the marketing toolkit in your office and you're thinking about this issue of enrollment and Retention in Catholic Schools. The takeaways that are listed here really are some of the things that, as I'm doing my work, they're the things that I'm thinking about. And that's number one, Catholic identity and service is at the forefront of all that we do. And the more that we embrace that truth, the more successful our work is going to be. Student recruitment and retention is everyone's responsibility. You know, creating a culture that embraces that expectation, you know, that everyone is a part of this ministry, a calling of sorts, even for our lay people, embracing the ministry and really see that their touch with a family or a student really makes the difference. Enrollment management plans need to be ready, just like you have a tech plan or you have an emergency plan, an enrollment management plan should be in place at every school. Marketing plans must be created for annual implementation. Support must be aligned with the tasks to make sure that they are getting done. Plan for professional development for your staff. You know, don't assume that the osmosis is going to occur, because it won't necessarily. Those who get it already get it, okay? Those who get it already get it. So we want to help those who don't get it just yet. And the marketing materials. You know, we're all busy, but the more that our parents are making a choice that is a more consumer-based decision, the more coordinated, accurate, and informative your information is. That's like almost the beginning of the relationship. I have a funny little sidebar story, because my son, who's now in college, because everyone can make mistakes, he received a letter from an Ivy League school that had their T-H-E-I-R instead of T-H-E-R-E. And I'm not an educator, and I noticed that. So, and I'm still talking about it. I didn't name the school, though. So, accuracy, content, coordination, all of that matters, and that attention to detail. This is, again, a part of an ongoing conversation that doesn't stop this evening. My business card and contact information is included in your folder so that you know how to reach me. I mentioned that the schools that have been selected for strategic support, you'll be hearing from me in the next couple of weeks or so. And for those who don't hear from me in the next couple of weeks or so, if there's anything that I can do to assist you, please reach out. And I hope everyone has a great Catholic Schools Week and has a very headline kind of activity. And if you need marketing support, give us a call. I'm going to turn it back over to Deacon Burt.